Well, good morning. Joining me today, Congressman Joe Crowley, who does not need any introduction. When they always say that about me, I always get annoyed. And give him an introduction. He's actually a big deal. Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart and Liz McCloskey, who's president and CEO of the Faith and Politics Institute. And the city is lucky enough to have been hosting them and having a very nice breakfast here at Gracie Mansion as part of our Becoming America Congressional pilgrimage to New York, or their pilgrimage. The Faith and Politics Institute has brought more than 15 members of the House and also Hawaii Senator Mazie Hirono to our city this weekend. Based in Washington, D.C., the Institute is a bipartisan interfaith organization that encourages our nation's leaders to rise above narrow partisanship and find common ground in strengthening our democracy. And that includes a focus on immigration. We did talk about immigration over breakfast here, and will be the subject of the delegation's next several days in our city. Given that 40% of New Yorkers are immigrants and that our city remains the leading entry point to the U.S. for those coming here from other lands, I think that is only fitting. And that focus is also fitting given that action on immigration reform has reached such a critical, urgent moment in Congress. Now is the time for reform. America needs a modern immigration system that welcomes the entrepreneurs and the hard workers that will grow our nation's economy and create jobs and keep us competitive on a world stage. I think it's fair to say we've never been closer to achieving that goal. But it's like jumping 95% of the way across the Grand Canyon. Unless you jump 100%, it's all for naught. And we've got to make sure that Washington hears us and understands that we just have to pass reform this year. And as I pointed out over breakfast a few minutes ago, immigrants really do make a huge impact on our economy. New York City is a city of immigrants. Almost half the small business owners in our city are immigrants. Immigrant workers generate close to a third of our city's gross city product, and they're more than half our city's registered and practical nurses, nearly half our doctors and surgeons, 60% of homeowners here. And New York's story, incidentally, is not unique. Across the U.S., immigrants are named in roughly 3/4 of the patterns granted at top technical universities. Nationwide, immigrants start more than a quarter of new businesses, and because of immigrant homebuyers, the value of housing in our nation has increased by something like $4 trillion since 1970. Immigrants really are the key to the future of New York and the prosperity of our nation. I was asked why some of the numbers are so good here compared to other parts in the country, and every place they mentioned, the comparison is so stark. Those were not what we would call immigrant-friendly places. They weren't lucky enough to have the value of people coming here, starting businesses, taking the jobs that nobody else wants, and working their ways up the ladder. So this is a big thing for this country, big thing for New York. And I will turn now the things over to Congressman Joe Crowley. And he's, as much as anybody, understands what makes New York work, and that is immigrants. Joe?
Thank you, Mayor. And as I said inside, no one welcomes people to New York better than Mayor Mike Bloomberg. So once again, Mayor, thank you for your hospitality this morning. And I'm pleased to be here with Faith and Politics and with Liz McCloskey and all those involved in the Faith and Politics Institute, as well as my co-chair of this pilgrimage, Mario Diaz-Balart, a Republican member of Congress from Florida. This is a bipartisan effort to bring members of Congress and thoughtful folks out, get them out of the Beltway, and in this case, to the epicenter of immigration today in the United States. Once again, New York City. We have a past, we have a present, and we have a future in this city, and much of it is based on immigration. We had the opportunity last night to visit Ellis Island, where many of us, including myself, can trace the first steps in the United States to, on my behalf, my grandfather, who came here 100 years ago last year on April 7th, 1912. But every one of us in the room, whether it was Ellis Island or Angels Island in the West Coast, can trace our ancestry in some way back to those brave men and women who turned back from their own country and embarked on a new beginning for themselves and their families. And in many respects, it's no different than the modern immigrant today. I say we've been blessed with the best and the brightest, but also the bravest. It takes incredible gumption to leave your communities, leave your homes, and come to the States to make a better way of life for yourselves and your families. And we're here to not to talk particularly about any policy or any particular bill, but this pilgrimage is to share our shared experiences and to learn of each other's histories and past, how the Crowleys came to America, how the Bloombergs came to America, how the McCloskeys came to America, and how the Diaz-Balart family came to America. And later we'll hear from Majority Leader Eric Cantor and his story, as well as all the other members of Congress who are here today, as well as the faith community that is bringing us together for this important pilgrimage. So once again, I'm proud to co-lead this delegation to my hometown, to my city. I'm a son of New York and always will be, and I'm very proud of this opportunity to bring my colleagues here for this weekend to enhance all of our lives. And with that, Mr. Mayor, once again, thank you very much.
Joe, thank you. As I said before, this is a bipartisan effort. You may not know it, but Joe is a Democrat. Just thought, in case you didn't know. But we have a Republican Congressman, Mario Diaz-Balart of Florida, represents the Miami district, and Miami is just like New York. It is a thriving city, and it is and there certainly is a connection, a city of immigrants. Congressman?
Thank you, Mayor. Let me first also thank you for your hospitality. Liz, thank you for putting this together. You know, she's there in Washington. She sees firsthand what's going on, and yet she's always patient with us, and always full of love, and always trying to unite all of us and unite the country. And we know how much hard work you and your staff have to put in to get this done. Joe Crowley actually, I think, really explained why we're here, and he did so, I think, brilliantly, Joe. And also want to thank you for your hospitality, for allowing us here to come to your town to show us what this city is all about. This city is emblematic of the country, a country and a city made up of immigrants who came here with a dream, looking for an opportunity, looking for freedom, and have created the greatest country that God has allowed man and women to build on this planet ever. And we can't forget that. We can't forget that. Since Joe has given such a good explanation as to why we're here, let me go a little bit off subject, Mayor. You know that on the issue of immigration reform, we all know it's broken. We have a system that's absolutely broken. By the way, it has also been a bipartisan failure on the part of Congress. Both Republicans and Democrats have failed to deal with an issue that we know is broken and we know needs to be fixing. And a lot of us are working in very good faith to try to fix this broken system. The reason I wanted to go off subject, because we're not here to talk about specifics like that, is to thank you. Thank you for your leadership. I know that you've got a couple other things to do here in this town. I know you're relatively busy, and yet you still find time to help, to lead, to cooperate, to bring people together on what I believe is an important pending issue that we need to resolve. So thank you for your leadership, sir.
Well, when we talk about bipartisanship, I guess I'm emblematic of it, having been a Republican, a Democrat, and an independent. Let me also ask Liz McCloskey, President and CEO of the Faith and Politics Institute, for her comments. Liz?
Thank you. And I just want to echo our thanks to Mayor Bloomberg for hosting us here in this beautiful, beautiful spot. And Congressman Diaz-Balart said it right. I love my job. I work right there on the Hill, and the Faith and Politics Institute wants to try to bring people together across race, party, and religion, and do what we call inviting the human moment. So we're here in New York to see the human dimension of immigrant stories, and that's what we're going to be doing for the next 2 days, is sharing stories, hearing stories of those who came to America many different ways. Ellis Island, Angel Island, but also some in chains, and we'll be visiting the African burial ground to remember people who came here not of their own accord, those who were here before anybody else, indigenous, native population, but we are all Americans, and so the story is how we became America, and that's the story that we're going to be hearing from a number of both prominent Americans who have an incredible story, to people you may not have heard of or known, who are also both struggling and living out the American dream. So I'm so grateful and feel privileged to be able to be leading this delegation here to New York. And I love New York, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and to have breakfast in this beautiful spot. So I hope you'll follow us as we go to a naturalization ceremony where members of Congress will be able to lead new Americans in the Pledge of Allegiance from 48 different countries, 80 people who will become citizens this morning. So thank you very much.
Liz, thank you. On behalf of the country, you really are making a difference, and keep up the good work. We need people like you. Before taking a few questions, let me just try to summarize for our Spanish-speaking audience. Mientras esperamos que el Congreso tome acción para una reforma migratoria, más de 15 congresistas han venido a Nueva York para aprender más sobre el impacto de los inmigrantes en nuestra ciudad. And with that, we'll be happy to take some questions, sir.